Hello, my friends, and welcome to our 30th podcast episode. This is our last podcast episode for 2023. As we are coming to closing of the year, I always take time to pause and reflect and connect with the feelings of gratitude for so many connections, for so many opportunities, for so much learning, growth, and healing. And I want to pause in here and say thank you so much to all of you for being part of this community, for listening to this podcast, for giving me your feedback about how much you're benefiting from listening to it. I really, really appreciate that. And it fills my heart with joy and gratitude. So thank you again. And I hope as we move into 2024, we will have more opportunities like this to connect together, to grow, to learn, to heal, to make positive changes within our lives, within our businesses, within our communities, within our work with our clients, or with supporting people that we love, that we care about. We all know how much the world really needs it right now. And so I want to take a bit of time today to reflect on 2023 and to talk a little bit about what you can do as you move forward into 2024 to support yourself to build the best business that you love, that works for you and really works for your clients, and how you can do it in a more sustainable and consistent way. I think this is something that we all need to talk about. If you've heard me talking before, you know that I feel really passionate about all practitioners developing two different set of skills. One set of skills, which is your modality, whether you are a somatic coach or trauma-informed practitioner or yoga teacher or wellness practitioner, body worker, hypnotherapist, healer. You need to get really good at your modality. You need to be really good at your work with your clients so you can create safe container, so you can support your clients to your best ability, so you can have experience and expertise in certain kind of way of working. And so you can develop your own unique point of view, and that only comes through experience. There is no shortcut to this. I'm really sorry to say that. I know that that might be an unpopular opinion, but there is no shortcut to experience. There is just showing up day after day, doing your work, getting good at it, and that's how you get your expertise. It takes time. But then there is the other set of skills, which are your business skills that you really need to learn. Unless you come from a lot of money and you can pay people to do that stuff for you, which I would never advise to anybody, especially at the beginning, not until you are very clear about your messaging, about your unique point of view. Again, that only comes through experience and through showing up and through talking about your work and doing your work. I wouldn't recommend that you outsource it. Maybe later down the line, when you know what you are talking about, what you need to share as part of your promotion and marketing and developing your brand or your marketing, then it would work. But at the beginning, it doesn't work. Again, very unpopular opinion. There is no shortcut to it. I'm really sorry to say that. And it's like, it's driving me absolutely mad watching all those ads on Facebook and Instagram about really quick wins and quick results, you know, six figures in 1 month kind of thing. It doesn't happen like this. It really doesn't. It does take time. But bringing those two together, your expertise within your modality and the way that you work with clients, your unique point of view, your unique point of working, and your business skills can create something really wonderful and unique. And it can allow you to live your life in a way that is aligned with your needs, with your dreams, with your commitments, in a way that is aligned with your own definition of success. And one of the ways that really helps us to develop it in this way is to do it through regular reviews and regular planning and following a plan of action. I know from my own experience that when I don't know what I'm doing, if I'm sitting at my desk and I don't actually have it written down, what I'm working on, I can waste a lot of time. I can then start looking at the emails, I can start looking at other things, I get distracted. But when I know that I am sitting down to do a certain kind of thing, then I can just arrive, prepare for it, and start working on it. And then I know what I am working towards. What is the result or the outcome I'm working towards? And it might be recording a podcast episode like I'm doing right now, where I know that I will be finished with it today, and then I just need to take steps to upload it and deal with it and then release it. Or it can be another task towards a bigger goal, like working on my new website, where I know that I am going to spend the next 2 hours or 3 hours, sit down, look at my checklist, look at my project plan, and know what's the next thing that I need to be working on. And then when the 3 hours or 2 hours are finished, I know that I can tick off some stuff, I can take some notes, I know what is the next step. But if I don't have that, it really is, I can waste time. I can waste an hour before I know that actually I've wasted it. Something that comes up around the goals is how we can approach those goals. And this is what I want to talk a little about today. If you want some support around this at the beginning of December, and I've done it a few times already, I ran a free three-day exploration, which I call it exploration rather than a challenge. I used to call it a challenge, but the challenge implies that we have to challenge ourselves to go all in and really work very hard and push ourselves. And then at the end, we might collapse flat on our face because we are exhausted because we were pushing and hustling so much. And that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted 3 days for an exploration. Let's explore what's here. Let's explore it with curiosity. Let's see what's present here already and what comes up as we give it a bit more space, as we start unpicking it a little bit. What comes up that maybe we were not so aware of yet? Can you feel how different energy there is between a challenge and an exploration? And so this is what I wanted to do. And if you are interested in spending a little bit of time, I will include the link with this podcast description for you to sign up for that free 3-day exploration. I've been doing this for the last few years. It is my offering to my community. It is my offering to all of you, because I know that committing to a paid program can be challenging. So there are other programs that I run, like Embodied Business Mandala Mentorship Mastermind, that's starting in January, 1 year small group program. And my 6 to 8 months one-to-one coaching and mentoring program. But these are the program where you have to commit. You have to commit your time and you have to commit with money. And I find that when I commit with money, I am there. I will get out of that program as much as possible because I know I committed with the money that I earned through my work. I'm not going to waste it. And so the level of commitment is different. But I know that it might not be for you. It might not feel like the right thing right now. So this is the offering, the free 3-day exploration. I hope you will find it useful if that's what you resonate with. The 3 days that we covered in the exploration are divided into 3 portions. So the first day is reflect, review and reflect. And this is where I ask you to just pause for a moment to start with reflection and review of your past year. And you might be listening to this podcast or you might be reviewing your year at different point. Right now it's December, end of 2023, but you can do it at any point in the year. The most important thing in here is that you pause for reflection and review. You cannot effectively plan until you know what happened over the last 6 or 12 months. You cannot plan effectively until you know what worked and what and why, and what didn't work and why. You need to know what you want to do more of, what makes you happy. It's a very simple guiding principle, like what makes you happy, do more of that. What do you want to let go of? What makes you unhappy? Do less of that. It's very simple principle. Very simple principle. And really understanding, what did you enjoy? What were your biggest achievements? What did you learn? What were your biggest insights over the last year? What did you create that was really feeling aligned, that was really feeling like, oh, wow, I really enjoyed that, really enjoyed that. You know, knowing things, if we talking about your business, you need to know your numbers, your business numbers, you know, your income for the year and for each month, and from which stream of your work did it come from? How many students and clients did you have in each income stream? Which offering brought in the most or least income? You know, all the outgoings. You need to know what was your business strategy. Did you have a strategy? Did you have some goals that you were working with? Did you know for each goal for each project, what were the milestones? Do you know how you bring new clients into your business? What works and what doesn't work? Do you know whether your launch or your invite strategy worked? And obviously the big one, as we are talking about doing our work and living our life through a trauma-informed lens, was your business nervous system friendly and trauma-aware or trauma-informed? Because so often we can work with our clients in a trauma-informed way. We can even take care of our own needs and our daily somatic practices in trauma-aware and trauma-informed way. But somehow when we move into our business, we morph into this completely different person that is just not trauma-informed, not trauma-aware, pushing, hustling, trying to mold ourselves into somebody that we are not because the experts are telling us that that's the way to do it. It's really fascinating. The conversation that I often have with practitioners is that they know that what they're doing is not working. They know that what they're doing is leading to burnout, hustle, burnout, exhaustion, working not in a way that they want to work, using strategies that don't feel aligned. And yet, they are willing to behave in that way, to continue behaving in that way, because they see other people succeed, or because they see other people talking about succeeding, working in this way. So, for example, I had a conversation recently with a practitioner who wanted to join my Embodied Business Mandala. And a couple of things came up, which was really fascinating. I've heard that feedback a number of times, is that my program is too cheap, which is fascinating. Somehow within our psychology, we think that the program is more valuable if it is more expensive. It's fascinating stuff, absolutely fascinating. This is obviously a feedback for me that I need to charge more, a learning for me that I am taking into 2024. But also this questioning about what is more embodied marketing? What is, how do you do it in a way that won't require hassle, won't require hitting burnout, won't require being visible and seen everywhere at all the same time, or sending newsletters every other day? Because of our conditioning, so many of us just simply cannot see it. Cannot see it, cannot imagine it. So how is it going to work? I mean, and, obviously, when we do throw ourselves into this hustle and full on work, we can do it and we see results, but it's unsustainable. And you might last 3 months. Many practitioners that I've talked to lasted 3 months. You might last 6 months. You might last even a year. If you do, wow. But sooner or later, you're going to crash. And the correlation in here is very interesting. If you've been able to sustain it for a year, for example, and then you crash, the recovery time might be much longer than if you've done it for 3 months and then you crashed. And so many of us just go into this constant cycle of working really hard, sympathetic nervous system response, and then crashing, going into shutdown because it's unsustainable and we can't continue like this. Then taking time to recover and then trying even harder. But I've talked with practitioners who crashed and hit burnout and then have not been able to do anything for a year or even 2 years afterwards. So my question to you is it worth it? Well, for me, it's not worth it. And I feel it through the whole of my body. It's not worth it. And I know there is another way of doing it. Much more embodied, much more steady, much more nervous system friendly, much more connected with your own inner rhythm, much more based on your strengths, on your unique point of view, on the way that you work, on your message, and what's most important to you. And so this first part of reviewing and reflecting allows us to pause look back and see, okay, so these are my values, these are my strengths, this is what brought me joy, this is what didn't, this is what I learned. And once we have got this information on a very conscious level, then we can decide, okay, now I can do things in a slightly different way. But without that information, you can't do anything. It's like throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping that something will stick. It's like trying to do the same things again and again and again. And hoping for a different result. That's the definition of insanity, isn't it? And yet we do that. And we try so hard. We try so hard. And so I really would invite you to do this first step before you start planning or looking to your next year. There is so much gold in here. There is so much wisdom. The wisdom that comes from within you, not the wisdom from other experts and people telling you what to do, because a lot of marketing stuff is based by principle on manipulating people to buy more of the things that they don't need. And being a conscious, compassionate, mindful practitioner means that we need to approach it in a different way. Means that we need to preach, do what we preach and walk our talk. It means that we need to really connect with what's most important and be embodied feminine leaders or be embodied leaders from within. And so start with that review and reflection part. And only then you can move to the second part of this process. And the second part is reconnecting with your embodied vision, mission, and goals. And the question in here, the big question is, where do you want to be in your business at the end of December 2024, at the end of 12 months from wherever you are doing this process from? And looking at your big vision, your big why you're doing this, and your big message. And that can take a little bit of time. These are the big, high-level questions that everything needs to be aligned with. You can look at your business values and your life values. You can look at your current business model. And that's where we also start thinking about, money. If you've got a business, about having a business is about earning money that supports you, your lifestyle, your family, and also beginning to lean into your daily habits and practices. Now, really starting to talk about what are your goals? What are your goals? And so one of the things that comes up where people talk about the big vision and the big mission and the big why, quite often I hear from people saying, well, I don't know. And so a question in here that can really help is, what do you feel really passionate about, that you want to be one of the voices within your community and the world talking about this and changing it? That's what's really, really aligned. What is this real important thing? Maybe that might be something that you see that is not happening, or maybe it might be something that people are having conversations, but you have a different point of view. And the important thing in here is that you do not have to be an expert. All you have to do is just be one of the voices within the conversation. When we start looking into much more feminine approach, we start looking into collaborations, into having conversations, into connecting with others, into coming together to make positive social change, not to be one and only voice that speaks really loud, that is recognized for their expertise. That's a very lonely place to be. And it can really lead into the hassles, into burnout, into feeling like I'm so alone in all of this. A gentler way is to really start thinking about it as you're one of the voices. You are a contributing voice to this really important conversation. So what is the conversation that you want to be part of? And then once you know that, you can move into setting your goals. So often people talk about the Harvard or Yale research around goals, and often it goes something like that there was a study done at Harvard between 1979 and 1989 around graduates of the program, and they were asked, have you set clear written goals for your future and made plans to accomplish it? And the results of that question were only 3% had written goals and plans. Only 3%. 13% had goals, but not in writing. And 84% had no specific goals at all. So 3% had written goals and plans, 13 had goals, but not in writing, 84 had no specific goals at all. And 10 years later, when they interviewed them, they found that the 13% who had goals but not in writing were earning on average twice as much as the 84% of those who had no goals at all. And the 3% who had clear written goals were earning on average 10 times as much as the other 97% of the graduates altogether. And the only difference between the groups is the clarity of the goals they had for themselves. I love this study, absolutely love this study. But as I really like digging a little bit deeper, there are many articles on internet saying that this research did not happen. It is a myth or urban legend amongst life coaches and consultants and personal development success gurus, which is really disappointing. But there is another study. There was a study done in California in 2007, and they were looking at goal setting. And what they realized, and this is a proper study done by Dominican University of California in 2007, what they realized was that there was an empirical evidence for the effectiveness of free coaching tools, accountability, commitment, and writing down one's goals. Accountability, commitment, and writing down one's goals. So it's not just writing down one's goals. There's the whole system in here. As you know, I love talking about systems thinking. The whole system. There is the writing of down one's goals, there is accountability, and then there is commitment to achieving those goals. And this is really, really good stuff to look into. And I want to start with just asking you, where are you within all of this? Do you set goals and write them down? Do you have, or not, do you have a clear plan for achieving those goals? If you do, then there are two other things in here. Do you have accountability for achieving those goals? And let me tell you, accountability comes usually with somebody else keeping you accountable. It's much easier that way. You can keep yourself accountable, but it's much harder. And then there is the commitment. And the commitment comes from having a clear plan, but also looking at your goals as a process. So when you look at your goal as a process rather than the final outcome, you can plan, you can create a plan with clear steps. You can then schedule it into your weekly schedule. You then know what are the weekly tasks that you need to work towards or you need to achieve each week. Then you know what milestones will let you know that you are on track to achieve that goal. This is so, so important. So important. So many of us do not take time to really sit down with our projects, with our goals, and to go through all of this. The other thing that I would say in here is that shifting from the outcome and rigid deadlines into the process takes away this energy of hustle, takes away this energy of grinding and pushing forward, this very masculine energy. It takes away from it being a rigid, deadline focus, outcome focus experience into a process. So if you have got goals, if you have got a plan, be flexible with your deadlines. From experience, I've been self-employed for 14 years, fully self-employed for 8. I know that everything takes longer than I think. I've learned that already. And so really understanding around the deadlines, we know that certain things need deadlines. So for example, if you want to run a retreat, you need to know what's the date of running that retreat. If you, or any other event, but most of the things don't require those very rigid deadlines. If you know that there is a project or an event or a goal that needs to be achieved by certain deadline, give yourself extra time. So for example, if you want to run a weekend retreat, don't schedule it for February or March. That's going to be a lot of hard work, a lot of stress to complete all the steps and to get people to sign up for it. But giving yourself enough time, for example, to plan it for autumn of next year, that gives you 9-10 months of really working with it. And then you can schedule your milestones. You know that if you've got 9 months, there are certain things that need to happen really quickly, and then other things that can take a little bit of time. You know what is the priority. You know the steps that you need to take, and you give yourself enough time to work on it on a weekly basis alongside of your client work, alongside of your regular work. That's much better, much easier. So one of the things that you can do is, to reverse engineer your goals, to really look at your goals, treat them all as a project, work through them, reverse engineer, and brainstorm all the tasks and action steps, decide what the milestones are, decide on the process, slot it into your weekly diary. You've got a space of 2 or 3 hours every single week that you work on that project. Such important stuff. And once you've done it, you can repeat it. But we need time. Again, there is no shortcut for this. We need time. There is a process to it. And this is how you work towards your embodied vision and mission. You treat your goals as projects, you focus on the process, you keep your deadlines light. And if there are definite deadlines, then you give yourself enough time to work on them. Then you can slow down a little. Then you can give yourself enough time. Such an important thing. And so this takes us to the third step of this process. And the third step is refocus on your embodied wisdom path. And that's about who do you need to become to transform your business dream into reality? Who is this person? You know, what qualities do they embody? What habits do you need to develop or cultivate to support you on your journey? And you might have heard me talk about this before, that I stopped drinking alcohol in September 2022. And so I've had now over a year, good time, chunk of time without drinking any alcohol. And I didn't have a huge problem with alcohol. My drinking over the last 10 years reduced significantly. But I knew that I was drinking at the end of the week to calm my mind so I could rest. And if you know anything about alcohol, you know that it really impacts your sleep, and it really impacts how you feel. And for me, as a woman who's 50, full-blown perimenopause, my body did not like those 1 or 2 drinks that I used to have on a Friday evening. And so I decided to stop. And it's been one of the best things that I've done for my well-being, for my focus, for my productivity, for the deeper layer of rest and healing and connection. And it had a huge impact on my business. So I didn't do it for my business, but one of the outcomes was my productivity, my focus, my ability to go deeper into creative work within my business. And now looking back, I know that I don't want to change that. That's one of the things that I'm going to keep doing because I enjoy it. I enjoy it. And so, who do you need to become to achieve those goals? So, for example, if you're a coach or a wellness practitioner or a yoga teacher and you feel really alone and you've always done it like this, you've always been alone, you've always, everything is down to me, I have to do it myself. Maybe what you need is to ask for some support. Find a group of people or a container within which you can allow yourself to be a little vulnerable and to ask for support, to ask for that accountability, to help you grow and become the future you. I know that from my own experience, when I left social care 8 years ago, I suddenly realized that I was completely alone. I was running a yoga and wellness studio, and I didn't have support from anybody. I didn't have a coach. I didn't have a mentor. very quickly, you know, within a few months, the person that I was running the studio with told me that she was pulling out. And I made the decision of leaving social care and going fully self-employed and running the studio based on calculations that there were two of us running that studio. And so that was a very challenging time. I realized I was on my own. There were many sleepless nights, many tears, a lot of anxiety. And so it took me a while to find the right kind of support. And I found a really great mentor, a mentor that I still work with on and off. And I've always worked with coaches and mentors and, you know, for the last few years. And that really helped me to make decisions about my business, to take calculated risks, to step outside of my comfort zone, and to have somebody who would hold a safe space for me to really talk about this, about how I feel and what I need. I cannot stress it enough. It's working with somebody comes with that accountability. It comes with commitment, because I commit to working with somebody or to be part of some kind of program. It comes with being open and vulnerable. It comes with a lot of growth and learning and healing as a person, as a practitioner. So I would really encourage you to think about, who do you need to become to achieve your goals, to achieve your mission, to create the business and life that you want? Do you want to do it on your own? I mean, there are two ways of doing it. There is signing up for lots of free webinars to help you DIY building your business. And a lot of practitioners that I speak to say that it's like, I signed up for another free webinar. And there is a different way of really working with somebody. One of the principles that comes from free content, and I know that because I've done a lot of programs on marketing and coaching, and so I know that normally the principle of doing free webinar or free content is to tell you why it's important, what it is, and why it's important. It's hardly ever that you will really hear how to do it, or that you will be taught in that free webinar step-by-step process of how you can do it. And so you know what you need to do, you know why it's important, but then you have to work out yourself how to do it. And then there is the accountability piece, which for many of us is really challenging. And this is something that I work with my clients in my sessions, whether it is in the Embodied Business Mandala Mentorship Mastermind program, which is a small group program currently running for 1 year, or whether it is working with clients one-to-one, really looking at what's working and why, what's not working and why, and what are the obstacles to you achieving your goals or completing your projects or working in a way that you want to. Or maybe, and there are many of those, they can come in so many different ways. There might be something about your systems. There might be something about the challenges you feel around the tech. There might be something around the process, your strategy of bringing new clients in. There might be something about your inner resistance. Maybe you don't believe you can do this. Maybe your imposter part is really loud. Maybe there is some other fear. It might not feel safe to feel visible, or visible in a way that the experts tell you you need to be visible in. There might be so many different things in here. But when you think about the person that you are right now, to the person and the understanding that you had 12 months ago, if you've been through a process of growth and learning and healing, you know that your nervous system capacity has grown. It's become more. If you look back for the last 12 months and you notice that your nervous system capacity has shrunk, that's a huge feedback for you. Or has stayed the same. That's a huge feedback for you. Really thinking about how can you do it in a slightly different way. And it isn't this thing of thinking in black and white, like I either have to be like this or I have to be completely different. When we think from the perspective of trauma-informed approach, we can start thinking, okay, baby steps. What's one tiny step? What's one shift that would make the biggest difference for everything within the system of my business and my life? And it will be different for each one of us. And when it comes from within us, it will make a huge change, huge shift to us. And so I hope this helps. I hope a little bit of reflecting here helped. If you want to sign up for this free offering, the free 3-day exploration, there is a link that comes with this podcast episode. I invite you to sign up. You will receive all 3 days over 3 days, each one coming with a workbook and a video, each one helping you to take a bit of time to reflect, to really understand what's going on for you. And if you feel that you are ready right now, you are ready to take it to the next level, you are ready for clarity around your mission and your goals and your projects, you're ready for accountability, you are ready to commit for the next 12 months to create something that is aligned with your vision and your mission, with that most important thing in your life, to become one of the voices that is heard within the important conversation, that conversation that is most important to you, that you want to be part of, then reach out and let's connect. And maybe if you want if you resonate with what I'm saying and you want accountability from me, check out the Embodied Business Mandala Mentorship Mastermind or my one-to-one 6 to 8 months program. Let's create a process that is right for you for the next 12 months. There's so much that can be achieved in 12 months' time, through the 12 months. So many programs that I see out there invite people to work with them for 3 or 6 months. And I know from experience that 3 to 6 months is just when people start to warm up. Because that's the feedback that I heard here again and again. It's like just starting to understand what it's all about. Sometimes it takes longer. For most of us, it takes longer. It takes about a year to really settle in the process and understanding what works for you. Whatever you decide, I'd like to invite you to take a little bit of time to really connect with what you are grateful for. what you are grateful for. What do you appreciate within 2023 or within the last year? What do you really appreciate and what you are grateful for? This kind of gratitude that comes from our heart, that comes from our somatic wisdom, embodied wisdom, that comes from our soul. Connect with that. Allow yourself to fully experience it. Take some time for yourself. Take some time to connect with life itself. So sacred and so precious. And not separate from our business or from our work. More like a container for all of it. Take care. And I wish you all the best for the next year.